Wir wollen durch eine Reihe von Umständen, dazu gehört auch das Reisen, jetzt die Chance, also der souveränen Entscheidung des Bürgers zu reisen.
In 1978, April 22nd, there was a report about a missing person in East Berlin. That name of the missing person was known to be Andreas Jaeger. He was escaping from East to West Berlin.
At one specific date, it was a foggy night. He managed to climb over the barbed wire and jump down the wall. He ran as fast as he could, but he got shot by the border police. With suffering and pain, he made it to the west part of Berlin. He had nowhere to go.
They brought him to the hospital. In the hospital, the border police came again. They tried to get him over back to the east, but he looked them into their eyes and told them there's no way he's ever going back. If they want to do so, they have to kill him. But of course they couldn't kill him in the hospital. So they left and he was free.
A few years later, he met a woman, and that woman became my mother, and that man who got shot was my father. I am Sebi Jaeger, born in Berlin, Germany.
Okay? So. My name is Birgit Barowski. I'm the mother of Sebi, and I live in the so-called Speckgürtel of Berlin. My roots are in the western part of Berlin. I grew up at Spandau in the west of Berlin. When I was 13 years, my parents decided to move from the south of Berlin to the west of Berlin, and we lived in a small street with detached houses. And Andreas lived in a house across the street after he escaped from East Berlin to West Berlin across the wall. So we met on the street.
Mein Name ist Andreas Jaeger und ich bin 1958 in der ehemaligen DDR geboren. Ja, 1978 bin ich über die Mauer nach Berlin-West über Starken geflüchtet. Bei diesem Fluchtversuch wurde ich angeschossen von Grenzposten mit Maschinengewehrfeuer. Ich habe Glück gehabt, bin angekommen, bin ins Krankenhaus gekommen, bin aber dann wieder mit meiner kaputten Hand gesundet, habe gearbeitet, habe mich weitergebildet, meine Meisterprüfung gemacht und habe dann eine Familie gegründet mit meiner Frau Birgit, die ich kennengelernt hatte und lieben gelernt hatte.
Oh, Andreas was my first boyfriend, my first love. It was my 14th birthday when I met him.
Dann, 1987, wurde mein Sohn Sebastian geboren in Berlin-Spandau und 1990 meine Tochter Patricia, die ich beide sehr, sehr lieb habe. Leider ist im Jahr, als mein Sohn 9 war, circa, hat mich meine Frau verlassen und Sebastian ist bei mir geblieben und meine Tochter ist mit meiner Frau zu einem anderen Partner gezogen. Die Verbindung zu ihr und zu den beiden Kindern war immer sehr gut. Darüber habe ich mich sehr gefreut. Sebastian, mein Sohn, hat schon früh in der Schule sich für Tanzen interessiert, für Breakdance. Das habe ich gemerkt. Später mit 14 ist er schon alleine nach Berlin losgezogen oder sogar früher und hat irgendwo getanzt und an Unterricht teilgenommen. Als ich ihn gefragt hatte, ob er da irgendwas braucht, Geld oder muss ich ja irgendwo anmelden oder so, nein, nein, Papa, das geht schon alles in Ordnung.
Hi, ich bin Michael von den Flying Steps, tanze Breaking seit 1991 und bin Landestrainer vom Landestanzsportverband Berlin für den Nachwuchs für Olympia. Sebi habe ich das erste Mal kennengelernt, als er mich besucht hat im Jugendclub in Wedding am Nauner Platz, wo ich unterrichtet habe. Und der ist mir gleich aufgefallen, weil er sehr viel Energie hatte und richtig viel Spaß am Tanzen. Und von da an habe ich ihn immer wieder eingeladen, zum Naunaplatz zu kommen. Und was ich gemacht habe in frühen Jahren war ganz viel Nachwuchsarbeit. Das heißt, ich habe ganz oft mit Jugendlichen trainiert und getanzt und habe ihnen Breaking beigebracht. Und darüber hinaus habe ich dann angefangen, Crews zu gründen und mit diesen Crews dann gemeinsam Shows zu tanzen und ihnen den Weg zu zeigen, wie man zu Battles geht, wie man sich vorbereitet und alles. Somit ist die erste Battle Crew entstanden, B-Town All-Stars, wo wir dann verschiedene Tänzer aus verschiedenen Bereichen, Bezirken in Berlin hatten. Und Sebi war ganz klar mit einer der Kandidaten, den wir mit dazu nehmen mussten, weil er ein großes Talent war. Und somit hatten wir die erste Crew B-Town All-Stars gemeinsam, die ich dann gemanagt habe, unterrichtet habe und für sie die ersten Shows organisiert habe und darüber hinaus gemeinsam zu Battles gefahren sind.
It were the best years of my life. Sebi was such a charming, pretty, wonderful little boy with a great heart, and he was interested in everything around him. In those years, we traveled to a lot of other countries, and for Sebi it was very simple to meet friends because he was so interested and so friendly. I really enjoyed it to see how happy and careless he was. And when he was a teenager, he started his career as a little dancer and founded his first group, his first own group called First Class.
Wir sind natürlich besorgt, dass also diese Möglichkeit dieses Reisegesetzes, es ist ja noch immer nicht im Kampf, es ist ja ein Entwurf. Allerdings ist heute, soviel ich weiß,
And it was a dream. Er hat gesagt, also der größte Eindruck hier war es vor einem halben Jahr hier in Berlin gewesen.
Growing up in a city that was divided for 28 years, people weren't able to see each other. Loved ones couldn't see each other. Even families, they were splitted. So were mine. I was not able to see my family, and my family was not able to visit us. Only us with a visa, we were able to. The family from my father was not allowed to visit us. So we were able sometimes with a visa to cross the border to see them. Berlin has so many strong historical aspects, and right now it's one of the most amazing, beautiful and most historical cities in the world. If we talk about art, dance, history, culture, Berlin just got it all. I feel blessed to be able to grow up in Berlin. I love the city. Going down, meeting my friends, having everything around me, having fast connections to everywhere I want to go in the city. I love the different places, I love the different areas of Berlin, because every area has its own touch and is a small world for its own. When my father decided to cross the Berlin Wall, he was still a kid, and he couldn't handle it to feel like he couldn't handle it feeling like living in a prison. So he decided really quickly that one day he will cross the Berlin Wall. But he told no one, because in East Berlin you can never talk to people about it. You have spies everywhere. You have the Stasi everywhere. It could be your best friends, it could be a neighbor, it could be your teacher, or it could be even your family members. So no one knew about his plan. And one day, when he was 18 years old, he decided to finally do it. So he was waiting for a foggy night, and he managed it to climb over the Berlin Wall. After he escaped, people were wondering where he went, but next day it was in the news everywhere, newspapers, TV. So the people know that he finally made it to the west of Berlin.
Geflüchtet bin ich 1978. Da bin ich mit meinem Motorrad und einer kleinen Leiter an die Mauer gefahren. Habe gewartet, bis ein Zug kam. Es war neblig, das war wichtig, denn 3 Türme haben mich bedroht. Und 2 Türme wurden durch den Nebel ausgeschaltet, sodass ich nur noch 20 Meter gegenüber von mir einen einzigen Turm mit 2 Wachposten hatte. Als ich über die Mauer geklettert bin, haben sie mich sofort bemerkt und das Feuer eröffnet, ohne mich zu warnen oder anzureden. Dann bin ich gerannt, wurde von einer Kugel getroffen, habe noch Piker überwunden, die sehr gefährlich waren. Wenn ich dort gestolpert wäre, wäre ich stecken geblieben. Und bin so nach Berlin-West gekommen und habe dort angefangen, in Freiheit zu leben.
Aber ich habe bei uns in welchem Team jetzt auch 40, 41, ich meine, da geht's nochmal richtig. Ja, aber
bis die Hälfte unten. Das ist schon ein komisches Gefühl. Ich habe immer gesagt, bis 40 okay und dann ab 40.
I had the diagnosis ADHD, so I caused many trouble in school. When I signed up for my first school, they didn't even accept me. So I was wondering as a kid why they don't accept me, what is wrong. So I went to the next school. I had to go to a school far away because the schools in my area where I lived didn't accept me as a student. So I was at another school and they accepted me by chance. My mother first thought that they wouldn't let me go to school as well, and unfortunately after 2 or 3 weeks they'd throw me out again, so I had to restart. After 3 years of school I had to change the school once more, and then I started to use my energy in a different way. I started to use my energy with my body. I started to move, I started to create movements, I started to walking in handstand through my whole classroom, through the whole sports area. And I was only 7 years old when I did it the first time. And the people were already amazed, like, wow, Sebi, how are you able to do this? And then we had a contest in our school. We had to do pull-ups, push-ups, climbing up bars. And I did the highest amount of points that a student ever did on the school. So my teacher was shocked. They say, wow, Sebi, no one ever reached this amount of time that you had. So I knew already I had a potential to do something. And I think it's a good mixture of my mother and my father, because my mother was a dancer when she was young and my father was a fighter. So I had the strength and I had the ability to move to the music, and I had the fun and the joy and the love doing it. And then I saw the first music instructor and flying steps videotapes, and then I saw breakdancing the first time, and I was shocked. The energy was so strong, I felt it so deep, and since I've seen that, I never ever wanted to do something else. I only chased that dream. I was only following breakdance, trying to find out how I can do it, where I can do it, and if I can do it, how I can do it the best way I can do.
Dann ist er ja, als er so in der 11. Klasse war, Weltmeister geworden. Darüber haben wir uns natürlich alle sehr gefreut, er besonders. Und er ist dann von dieser Schule, hat aufgehört mit der Schule und hat sich auf diesen Sport voll konzentriert, was auch der richtige Schritt war. Tja, jetzt muss ich erstmal eine Pause machen.
The first time I met Killer Sebi, I don't remember an event or something, but I know that it's gonna be around 2004, because this was the time where he entered the crew Beton Allstars, and back in the days this was the new upcoming crew from Berlin with all these young talents and students from Flying Steps, because before Beton Allstars there was Flying Steps and 5 Amoks, like the most known crews in Germany, and Beton Allstars was the new talents and the new wave of Berlin. And I remember he was in a crew with almost 90% of immigrants. He was the only German guy, and this showed me even back in the days, because in Berlin you have to earn your respect, and he got respected from everybody in the crew. And even as the the smallest in the crew, you know, like really you have to prove in Berlin because they don't put you in a crew for no reason. You have to really deserve it, and that's why I remember I always had respect for him, admire him, and I remember he was always a positive person. No matter where I met him, he always showed love, and yeah, just till to this day, I never saw him like sad or anything. He always looked for the good things in life, and that's why I like him so much.
The first time I saw Killer Sebi and his crew performing in Marpak, it's kind of one of these moments because I was walking around and just documenting some things in Berlin, and then I went to Marpak and I got to see him for the first time, and also the Breakling crew, which is also like kind of like a really good moment to see how these guys performing. And even back then, I didn't know I'm going to make a documentary about him or to make a documentary about his family. So that brings me to the point of why do I make this documentary. When I decided to make this documentary, there was a very important character. Her name is Francisca Shadi, because I made a short film about her recently and not so long ago. And she is like a really good friend of Sebi, as far as I know. And so through her, we reconnect, and also I was able to reconnect with Sebi. And so she's also kind of she played like a really vital role to make like this documentary possible, because she's like the communicator between me and Sebi before we decide to embark on this documentary, like to create the documentary.
And of course, after this show, if you appreciate our art, we will come to you. And if you want to support us, you can do it the way you want, okay? Drop your bottles inside, drop your rings inside, okay? Your jewelry, iPhones, credit cards. We don't care, that's up to you. But we recommend if you give us 5 euros. 5 euros! I mean, it's not even €1 each of us, but we will go home very happy. But if you give us 10 or 20, he will go home with you. Best All right, ladies and gentlemen, stop joking right now. I wish you a lot of fun. Keep smiling. This show is for you. All I gotta say is, what time is it? It's showtime! Let's go.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Luis Becker, aka Lu.is. I'm dancing for 24 years. I'm a dancer and choreographer.
Hey, was geht? Ich bin Gabriel, auch unter dem Namen Gabi bekannt.
And I'm representing Flying Steps, Beaton All-Stars and Bad Trip Crew.
I used to crash on the couch, now I got cash in the bank. Look at me now, she didn't want me around. Now she begging me to stay. Look at me now, nobody knew who I was. Now everyone's screaming my name. Look at me now, I couldn't look at myself. Now I see the mirror and say, look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. Content creator, I promised my mama I'll make it. That woman the queen. The grind of my father been embedded in me since I was a teen. Mashallah, I mean, that's what they say to me now. What you expect from the boy? I pop on their feed, they all wanna hate on me now.
Yeah, we perform at the Mauerpark every Sunday. It's basically like a release from touring since 20 years, always being in the airplane in different hotels. It's such a pleasure to just go out and do what you like to do. There's no rules. You can improvise, you can play with the crowd. And that's what Mauerpark is. It's a lot of random people showing up and you present your craft. And I love to share that with Sebi because he's such an old, long friend of mine, and we used to work for a long time together. And yeah, we built this chemistry on stage where we can really go with each other to the next level and improvise together. And anyways, I mean, especially in street performances, it could happen anything. There could be somebody coming from the side and interrupt the show, but we are so in tune that we manage to just, you know, play over it and yeah, keep the show going. And I think that's what I really admire about Sebi, that he's so professional and yeah, we share the same passion.
Ich bin hauptberuflich Breakdancer und tanze auch am Mauerpark überwiegend. Und wie kam ich dazu? Ich habe mich einfach mit den Jungs im Training einfach mal unterhalten, dann kam es zum einen zum anderen und dann war halt der Vorschlag so, ey, habt ihr nicht mal Bock, wollen wir nicht mal zusammen irgendwie performen. Und so kam es halt dazu, ne?
Little Zoo, he said, either you go crazy, you know, or you go crazy, you know, and I decided to go crazy and go crazy in a positive way, to make workouts every day and work on myself and focus on the positive, because you cannot change the situation, you know, but you can change the perspective of how you see it.
Whoa. Tired of living broke, so before I sleep I pray. Then I woke up to my money in the bank. Then I woke up to a chick that ain't complain. Real big goals and my homies want the same. Gangsters moving silence. We been down shutting up the doubters. Fly guys out of public housing. Base loaded betting at 1,000. All them blessings I've been counting. God's work, man, this is God's work. Every single plan, it been God's work. Don't hate what I am, this is God's work. Take it up with the man, boy, it's God's work. God's work, man, this is God's work. Every single plan, it been God's work. Don't hate what I am, this is God's work. Take it up with the man, this is, hold up, blessed up, they can't doubt it. Check the new chick, I be out with. Check the new kicks in the outfit. Shit, I could probably quit rapping.
We are friends. It's friendship between me and my crew. And we practice together. You have many practice spots in Berlin, Germany. So we meet there together. We jam together. We have fun together. We create together. And we make things happen together.
So I'ma take that dough and invest in my kids. To me, that's a bigger flex. Yes, tired of living broke, so before I sleep, I pray. Then I woke up to my money in the bank. Then I woke up to a chick that ain't complain. Real big goals and my homies want the same. Gangsters moving silence. We been down shutting up the doubters. Fly guys out of public housing. Base loaded betting at 1,000. All them blessings I've been counting. God's work, man, this is God's work. Every single plan, it been God's work. Don't hate what I am, this is God's work.
We've been just enjoying the show of the guys from Breakland. They gave a lot of power and we really enjoyed the show. Hope you'll come back next time.
Okay. And the show, it was amazing. Wow. The dancers were so great. It was so nice to show.
Seeing the performance of the guys, and it was amazing.
When I was a kid, I always loved to dance. I put the music as loud as I can. I was moving a lot. Also, my mother was only listening to hip-hop music, Dr. Dre, so this was the sound I grew up with, and I loved it. So I tried to imitate Michael Jackson, Backstreet Boys, and I did some small moves in my room and started to think about some choreos.
Sebi is a very, very lively child, lively person. By the way, such as me. And his first year at school, when he came to school, after a few weeks, his teacher proposed to take him back to kindergarten for another year because he was so tired at school and had difficulties to concentrate. And so we decided to take him back to kindergarten, and he started in the next year for the first time at school. There were no further changes regarding ADHS. He got his diagnosis ADHS at high school, I remember, yes.
Auf meinen Sohn Sebastian bin ich sehr stolz, denn er macht seine Sache sehr gut. Er arbeitet Tag und Nacht an seinem Sport, an seinem Talent, mit Leuten zusammen, mit jungen Leuten zusammen. Auch in der Filmbranche versucht er sich ein bisschen, im Theater. Er macht alles und er hat sehr viele Kontakte. Das freut mich besonders. Egal, wo er in dieser Welt hinfährt, wird er immer von jemandem begrüßt, kann dort übernachten und erlebt somit auch dieses Land viel intensiver und besser, als wie man es als Urlauber überhaupt könnte. Ich bin sehr stolz auf meinen Sohn, ja. Und auf meine Tochter auch.
It was pretty easy this time because they had a casting in Berlin and they wanted to have the strongest breakdance team from Germany in this movie. So since I am a member of Flying Steps, they just chose this crew. So they just put Flying Steps in the movie. And I was not even there for the casting, so everybody was already set. So I was not planned for the movie. But since we represent a German team, and I was one of the only ones who's really German, they said, no, we need one German actor as well. And they just checked, okay, who they got? Oh, we got Sebi. Okay, Sebi, can you send me a video of you? Because you was not shown up at the casting, but just send me a video of yourself. So I did, and they accept me right away. So that was the way I got my first movie job, and it was a lot of fun to play there. The first German movie is much more interesting. It was already one of the main roles for a German cinema movie. It's called Dessau Dancers, and it was about breakdance in the east side of Berlin when Berlin was still divided. So it's a strong historical movie as well, and they casted about 100 breakdancers and actors, and they couldn't find my role. So again, I was not at the casting, but I was on the German championships, the Red Bull BC1, and on that day I was the most valuable player on that event. I just did the 3rd place, but I had the most hype and the most cheering from the crowd, and through lucky circumstances the production of this movie was in the crowd watching the battle, and they saw me on stage and they said, wow, this is the character that we need for this movie. So they just invited me to speak with the actors, and sent me home after and said thank you. And then they called me and said, okay, we take you for the movie. So of course, for what I do, especially breakdance, I have to take so much care of my body, because my body is my capital. I work with it, and every injury could be the end of my career. And right now I have a serious injury. I have a serious hip injury, and if I would listen to doctors, they would say I cannot dance anymore. And the normal doctors say I need a new hip joint, but I'm sure there is another way, and I go for that. And I go for the other way. I go for the good way, and I don't give up. I will keep going, because I know I can keep going. There's no surrender. Life always has ups and downs. This is normal. But altogether, I'm really grateful. I think my life is beautiful. I'm thankful for everything that happens to me. I have a beautiful family. I love what I do. So that makes my work beautiful too, because I don't do it for money. I don't do it for the fame. I don't do it because I have to do it, or I don't do it because people tell me that it's nice to do it. I just do what I do because I love it. So I just love what I do. So every single day I go work, I still can combine it somehow with what I actually love. So it feels good. So every single day I have a reason to feel good. Even if I feel bad, you have bad days, it's normal. Somehow I can always find a reason to feel good. So that helps me a lot.
Sebi was only a boy, and we were in his room in our house, and I told him to settle down close to me. And I got him in my arms and tried to tell him a few sentences what has happened to Sasha, his sister and his mother. It was really horrible. They were murdered in a very, very bad way. And Sebi, he stood up, took a yo-yo, I think you know what I mean, and played with the yo-yo it really broke my heart to see him this way. We were both shocked, and tears came later because we were really shocked and horrified.
When I was a kid, I was living in a really nice area, and we were always riding BMX bikes outside the whole day with my friends. And one day, one of my best friends knocked at my door. It was actually late night already. So he was asking me if we can enter, but I wasn't allowed to open the door because I had to go to sleep and be ready for school next day. So my friend went home, and next day when I was showing up at school, he wouldn't be there. So I was not worried about it because sometimes he skipped school, so I was like, probably he skipped school again. But then after 1 week passed, he was still not showing up, and no one knew where he was. And then when I was at my mother's place, she called me into her room, and she had a very strange voice. Normally she only does that voice when she's mad at me or when I did something wrong. So I was worried. I thought I did something wrong, and I was scared to approach her. And she looked me into my eyes and started to hug me, and she asked me, Sebi, do you know why Sasha was not showing up at school? And I answered her, yes, I think he was skipping school again. And she looked into my eyes and starts crying and said, Sebi, Sasha is dead. And I was shocked, and I started to cry. And I thought this only happens in movies. I never thought that this could happen in real life. So next day I drove to his house, and I saw the police there cleaning up everything. And I saw that his whole family was murdered by his stepfather. And I even knew the stepfather. And yeah, he was never a friendly person. So I had so much anger and so much pain in my heart. And from that day, I realized I can be happy, that I could be happy about every single day that I got.
Weil wir es für einen unmöglichen Zustand halten, dass sich diese Bewegung vollzieht über einen befreundeten Staat.
Es war ein großer Moment für mich, und dass dieser Moment ohne irgendwelche Schießereien und Verletzte abging, das ist und bleibt noch ein absolutes Wunder. Was wir nicht zuletzt Gorbatschow zu verdanken hatten, denn der hat wirklich seine Truppen nicht eingreifen lassen und ist für mich eigentlich ein Held in dieser Zeit, dass er das überhaupt ermöglicht hat, diese Freiheit und die Öffnung der Mauer. Alles andere lief dann praktisch wie von selbst ab. Das Volk wollte es so, das Volk hat entschieden. Die damaligen Machthaber, es war knapp, es hätte auch anders auskommen können, denn wir wissen ja, dass sie Polizei und verschiedene Sachen eingesetzt haben, um das zu verhindern. Aber sie haben es nicht geschafft, zum Glück. Ja, bis heute diese Freiheit, unsere Kinder sind in Freiheit aufgewachsen. Das war für mich wichtig, denn die Vorstellung, dass vielleicht mein Sohn, so wie ich, mit 19 dann geflüchtet wäre und vielleicht erschossen wäre an der Mauer, das war eine schlimme Vorstellung. Und diese Sachen sind ja passiert. Und ich möchte, dass nie wieder so etwas passiert, dass man frei ist, dass man entscheiden kann, wo man leben will und dass man auch seine Meinung sagen kann. Das ist für mich sehr, sehr wichtig. Demokratie, die immer wieder neu erkämpft werden muss, das sieht man auch in unseren jetzigen Zeiten.
Now, why do I make this documentary? Some people might be wondering. The question is not why do I make this documentary. The question is how can we tell a human story? Because every human has a beautiful story to tell. So for us to be able to tell a human story, we have to listen. This is all we have to do. For us to tell a good story, a meaningful story, and to make impact, we have to listen to stories of people. By listening, we will be able to see what they went through, what their story is, what their story was, and before it became what it becomes today. And I think this is like the best practice as a filmmaker or as a documentaries about how we can tell a story. And this is the main reason why I'm telling this story. Also just because I'm from another country, which is like my country of origin is Nigeria. So, and I cross a lot of borders to be here. And here within the borders I cross to be here, I cross a border to navigate a story, that the story also has something to do between borders and another borders that creates the border before I was able to enter inside this border to tell the story of these borders. So it's also very important, like how we tell human story, it's very important, but just how we tell it will make a difference. So we just also have to be the change we want to be and the difference we want to see. So let's tell more human story. Thank you.
First, I want to say thank you to every single person of Breakland, because without them, it wouldn't be possible to do this show. So we need to stay together, we need to stick together, we need to be there on time, we need to perform together. And when the music starts, everybody has to give 100% in this moment. And that's what I'm thankful for, because it's not an obligation to give 100%. You can do whatever you want, but if you want the show being a good show, you have to give 100% because people see how you perform. People feel it. You cannot lie to them. You cannot cheat. Either you do it or you don't do it. If you don't do it, you probably wouldn't attract those people. But if you do it, you're gonna attract them for sure. And that's what I appreciate of every one of my team members. They're always there to give 100%. And that's what I love.